Yeah. This is the beginning of the stream now. I have to make some noises. It says excellent connection. It usually does, but then it doesn't give me goddamn shit. It's just a black screen for a second. So I'm vamping. I'm waiting for the black screen to turn into a non-black screen. And that's not a race statement, by the way. That's just a statement of fact. You know, I'm waiting for the screen to... Yeah. Like, but it's so annoying. It's like YouTube is deliberately bad in so many ways, and I hate it. As somebody say some words real quick.
Words and words.
So
words looks like it's cool. There now.
All right, cool.
You can say the color black. It's not a race thing.
Yeah, but if I call attention to it, then it might make it awkward for somebody who was trying not to think of it that way. So if I make the situation worse, then it's better. You see. So, welcome to the stream, y'all, where we slap cunts. This is a great panel we got going today. We got somebody who might have I think you've been on mine before, but if not, either way you can introduce yourself. We've got a great panel. We're going to talk about Project 2020 films, and we've got lots of stuff that we're going to bring up regarding this, and also surrounding cultural issues, and also apricots. I said a word, you see? Because I said in the description that people would say words. I didn't say what the words would be. So we are all word sayers here, and I just said apricot. With that being said, everybody introduce. We will start with JD, and we will go JD, Kevin, Kareem, Rosebread, Bryce.
I mean, I don't really do anything. I'm just a guy, just here. I don't.
You exist. We are on the mortal plane.
I'm just a guy.
I'm just here.
We're all just guys.
JD does not mail pipe bombs. He promises.
That is on the list of things that I don't.
I'm making them.
Oh my god.
I don't know. I don't like write or do anything. So I mean, I don't know. I'm probably gonna make content at some point, but I don't have anything to link to yet. So
content.
Yeah. That content's not gonna include pipe bomb instructions. Just to be clear, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just to be very clear.
I think it is legal to do that, though.
Yeah, you have to be like Trevor Moore
like
about
freedom
it.
That's freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Well, if we're just talking about
theoretics, you know.
I have a book about explosives somewhere over
there.
As is your right as an American.
Yeah. But you know,
C4.
You know, like paradigmatically speaking, though, I mean, if you have a content, it presupposes the existence of protent. So now you have that information. Kareem.
Okay.
I'm an ANCAP man. An ANCAP stand.
Are you though? Isn't the point is that we're not in ANCAP stand?
I have heard many people argue that we already live under anarchism, and I think those people are idiots.
Yeah, and they also probably have a large dent in their head.
It depends on how you define that. I could get away with saying it, but like probably not the way most people think that we do.
So, yeah. I do community. I do this podcast, on my own podcast. Gonna get that running. Gonna do some podcast practice with Bread, hopefully. And that's about it right now. Just watching crazy stuff happen, randomly and making jokes about it.
Yeah. You're not gonna talk about your boner pill sales?
Yeah.
Oh no.
You have a sponsor?
Yeah. So yeah. Get those and support our comrades.
Yeah, you sell Kareem cream. You just got you apply it topically and it works.
This is a very productive stream.
Yes, already.
I should promote carnivore stuff and send all the proceeds to Rojava and the Zapatistas.
If you want.
I will stand for your overpriced protein powder if you're not selling cream.
Yeah, you got. Yeah. It's like Sandra Bullock, but it's ethical. It still comes from a cock. Kevin.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't. I hate that I understood that reference.
Welcome to the channel.
Free Abdullah Aquan.
Kevin.
All right, I'm Kevin. I'm
He's
the
like, all right.
of the chat. I see myself as the center-left techie voice of reason. I enjoy computers, biking, weightlifting, playing video games.
He's
and
just reading his Tinder. Yeah.
I got pulled into this chat by Kareem, and once I warmed up my icy New England exterior and became good friends with these people, I am turned out to be quite the regular on here. So, welcome.
How are you today?
Oh, what am I today? ANCOM man. I was ANCAT man from 9 to 5. Now I want to build. I want to do veggies. Oh, and Kareem and I are half and half. The joke being that we are fascinated by both. By elements of both left and right wing economics.
Mutualism's half ANCOM, half ANCAT.
ANCOP. I like that. That's fucking.
ANCOP.
You know, so many people in this movement are ANCOPs. Fuck them.
One of my jokes
Anarcho cops.
Libertarian party.
ACAB includes the anarcho cops.
Yes.
Hey man,
Yes.
I'm voting for cop, Mike Dermott.
Yeah. Fucking Mike
or
Cop.
Marcus Steven. Now that's an anarcho cop for you.
Rose. Words.
Okay, I'm Rose. By now, if you have followed this channel at all, I'm sure you've heard me. I am your favorite anarchist without adjectives, as well as part-time Big L Libertarian. I'm active in New York Libertarian Party as a state committee member. Probably going to run for a few more positions, as well as National Platform Committee member. That's pretty much all you need to know about me for now.
Well, as a Sonic fan, I endorse running. Bread.
Hi, I'm Bread. I'm like an activist. Well, normally I'm Bread. Today my name is Garrett Foster. Rest in peace, bro. But like, normally I go by Bread. I'm just an activist and an anarchist, and I just art and I fart and I organize and I collectivize and I individualize and all those thingies. And I'm a subjectivist anarchist. My flag is typically black. Sometimes I just put squiggles on it for fun. Yeah, that's about it. Like, my opinion likes to piss off everybody.
Bryce, your hair is sticking up straight. Are you using gel or is that just fatigue?
Well, I actually have a front and back colic, so it does stick up naturally.
Well, that's what you get for being born in Wisconsin, you cow stater.
You know what you should do? Make a syndicalist union for
racism.
Anti-Wisconsin action. Yeah.
Anyway.
30% cheese.
Wisconsin has 10 too many electoral votes, I think.
Yeah.
Well, son of a bitch.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, when can cheese vote anyway?
Bryce.
Anywho, I'm Bryce. I'm the resident anarchist and LP Wisconsin member in deep frustration. I've been banging my head against a proverbial brick wall for the last 2 fucking months. And I'm having a great fucking time.
Deep Frustration is my Deep Purple cover band.
Congressional District
That would
3
be a
rep
good band name.
for the executive committee. Former LP Wisconsin failed candidate for the 67th State Assembly, and current state organizer of the Wisconsin Mises Caucus.
And you can hear the cheese in the way he says Wisconsin Mises Caucus.
I did pick up some cheese, yeah.
Yeah,
you and I are both Mises state organizers, so you can either love us or hate us based on that information.
I'm neutral. So, well, I mean, on the Mises folk, y'all are cool. But the general gist of this is going to be more Project 2025 discussion. Now, JD has some notes, if I understand correctly, unless...
I'm mostly just freeballing.
Good.
I have a bunch of stuff open.
You know, as somebody who does not put a condom on his chili dogs, I endorse raw dogging.
Awesome. You should not eat condoms.
Yeah, see?
Good job.
JD's on board. we're teaching proper etiquette here.
We don't know what chili dogs have been, though.
Yeah, but you know, it's okay to have diseases on something if you cook it really hard.
Look,
So Brett is just exhausted. All right, so
I had something else that I was going to add that was horrible, and then my brain went into blue screen for some reason.
yeah, your brain is like, we have to shut down.
Chili dogs.
Shut it down! Shut it down!
Complete system shutdown.
Yeah.
I've made myself blush. I didn't even say anything.
So, with all that being said, you can see my knee. We'll get all bare. Let's get this chat going.
Okay.
The general vibe that I want to start with, we went over last time some of the issues. JD, you are new to this chat. Feel free to throw your general notions of Project 2025 before we get going.
What did y'all like talk about last time?
So we're basically using the wiki as a rubric. We got through points like 1 to 5, I think. We ended on education and not funding like school lunches and shit like that, like fuck the poors, basically. So we'll be going on that same general template, going through Wikipedia entry,
okay.
and we'll like cite the actual document if necessary for specific points. But the entry is pretty all right for this subject, and you know it's just a general overview.
Yeah, I saw something on the Wikipedia page that I think is inaccurate. They talked about using the Insurrection Act, like Trump using the Insurrection Act against protesters. I have not seen anything about that in the actual document itself. But lots of people involved in this thing have made comments like that. Trump himself has made comments like that several times. So, I mean, it's safe to assume that that is under the Trump agenda, but that is not technically, I do not believe, in the Project 2025 document.
Well, with that in mind, if we do come across that, we might be able to fault chalk that. So,
Yeah.
With that being said, I guess then we'll just yeah, your general notions so far, having read what you've read.
It sounds pretty awful.
Yeah.
But it seems what I worry about is there's a lot of things that I think a lot of libertarians especially will look at and go, well, that sounds great. Why shouldn't we just fire a bunch of bureaucrats? It's a lot of the assumptions that go into this thing is built off of something called the unitary executive theory, which is something Republicans like to, going back to Reagan, like to use, where they think that, Article 2 of the Constitution gives the president the power to control the entire executive branch. And fire and hire whoever they want for whatever reasons. And that's I'm not a constitutional lawyer. I'm not an expert on constitutional law, but that does sound like something that we wouldn't want. That's a lot of power to give one person. And it's a lot of people in the government are contesting that. It's I don't know how like sound the legal theory is, but it's that's what a lot of the assumptions that this project are a lot of the assumptions that are baked into its framing are based off of that theory.
Yeah. So the general gist that we went over last time, basically we're assuming that this succeeds. We're assuming that this works. We're sort of steel manning the position by saying that, and we're saying like the effects of it, how reasonable it is. So basically, the general thing that we went over last time was how like fascist a lot of this stuff already is. So I will
The rhetoric in the document itself is absolutely absurd.
yeah, and like Heritage Foundation is bad.
Yeah, but they've like recently gotten like way worse.
Mhm.
Well, it's got entries from a bunch of different right-leaning think tanks too. So, like, some of the stuff is worse than other stuff. Like, okay, you'll have some things that sound almost kind of good. Like, there's even something about ending the Federal Reserve or returning to a commodity-backed currency. But then there's shit about like restoring family values and and I think the whole thing about ending no-fault divorce was incorrect, but
Yeah, that's not in the document.
Anti-LGBT measures, for example.
Yeah.
There is. I did see just now as I was like scrolling through it. It does look like they're wanting to ban gender reassignment surgery for Medicare. Like they don't want Medicare to be able to pay for stuff like that.
Right.
So there's that. But I don't know. A lot of the other claims that people are making are a little inaccurate. But it's. I think a lot of these claims, they're being based off of things that Trump officials have said. Trump has said that some of the authors of this document have said, but it's not exactly in the document itself. So it's also 922 pages long.
Yeah.
So a lot of people aren't going to read this.
Played dumb. He's like, I haven't even heard of this.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's entirely bullshit because of like 2/3 of the people that wrote this thing were in Trump's administration.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Trump Zero way
said-
is not privy.
Trump said in 2023, basically, well, actually, I got a quote. I got a quote. He said,
See,
Is that a group?
this is what we want here. We want words that are being said by word sayers.
Right. So Trump says he doesn't know anything about this, but he said in April 2022, which is actually like as they were like started writing this thing. They started writing this thing when he said this. He said this was at like a Heritage Foundation event. He said, "This is a great group, and they're going to lay the groundwork and detail plans for exactly what our movement will do and what your movement will do when the American people give us a colossal mandate to save America."
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I wonder what he could have been talking about.
This is basically a wish list. I mean, okay, every time there's an election coming up, like you get a bunch of special interest groups that put together a wish list of what they would like from the incoming administration. But like, I mean, looking at some of the things that they hope would be implemented, yeah, a lot of it is fairly concerning.
For sure.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I mean, like, it's not even just a couple of places where he's, like, mentioned this. Like, I'm currently going through, like, a really long list of all these different places where he's mentioned these policies and stuff. Not to mention his Agenda 47 is, like, basically the same thing with just a few tweaks.
yeah.
Yeah.
Agenda, okay, and that's different from Agenda 2030.
No, yeah, Agenda 47, that's
Let's-
the 47th president. That's his like presidential agenda,
Oh,
like
okay.
official on his website.
Yeah, and
Right.
Yeah.
in Agenda 2030 is a UN thing, and a lot of that
Yeah.
stuff is actually being done, so it's not it's a conspiracy theory, yeah, but it's also real, so.
Yeah.
I love that when you
None
So-
of this is great.
hear
None of this is great.
fighting shit that's actually being pushed by the current ruling class.
Well, I just take it as a compliment. Thank you, yes, I had a hypothesis, and I tested it repeatedly until it became a theory. Thank you for acknowledging how great my tits are. So,
Oh, jeez.
yeah. Fucking... So, the general gist is... we got Autumn Chen in chat. Hello. So, the general gist is... We've got this plan by Heritage Foundation, which already sucks rusty cunt. And we've got, like, so much that we could say about it. First, Dennis, intro, and say words. You can...
Yeah, just Reinhold just been around libertarian movement for like over 30 years. That's really all I want to say about that. But for Project 2025, like you guys were saying, it's just kind of a wish list. But the problem I see with it is that the one part of it is implementing the Schedule F stuff that is going to turn the executive branch really into more of a monarchy than anything else, and that's the real issue with Project 2025. I think that isn't just limited to that, because it's something that Trump already tried to implement, and he's promised to hit it day one, and that's what they're doing with 2025 is gathering up the people that they're going to put into the executive branch, to replace like 50,000 different people. So
yeah, that's
right. Yes, part of it is there's a they have a part of this is they're getting together. They're calling it like a conservative LinkedIn, and they're wanting people to apply, give them their resumes, and they fully intend to, like, they're just going to fire everybody that doesn't like play ball with Trump's agenda, and they're going to replace them with a bunch of sycophants, and we'll just have the Trump regime.
And you can't really stop it at that point, because there's no real way to stop that. If everybody's on board.
Yeah, and hitting it day one is also my dating advice. So
no.
Yeah, you gotta have some fun.
So it's a wish list, but the Heritage Foundation has put out this officially. It's called the Mandate for Leadership. It's a document that they've written many other times for other administrations. They started with Reagan in '81, and this is like the most audacious one that they've ever written, but other ones have also been fucking awful as well. But for the Reagan administration, Reagan implemented 60% of what they wanted within his first year. And they wrote one for Trump's in 2016, and I think he also implemented about 60% of what they wanted.
Yeah, and they're also both like
64%.
They're also both gun-grabbing, racist actors. So, Anyway.
Yep, that works.
Yeah, both of them increased government spending and did not actually cut taxes, by the way.
And hated poor people.
None of them do. Yeah. All of them do. Like, they're literally all just carbon copies of each other. Yes. And, like, if anything at all, Biden's presidency, while they're rolling out 2025, like, it's proof that they don't even need the president to do this stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, they already have like a super majority on the Supreme Court. They already overturned Roe v. Wade. This is all stuff that they want to do. It's already in progress.
Yeah, but if it's the Supreme Court, then it's got drip at least. So
what?
I'm hip to that lingo. We got the next thing we've got in this list after fuck the poor's education can be damned, is like, let me just get to over here. We got basically down to education and research. We already went over the economy and how basically it's also basically fuck the poor's. Let's hyper enable corporations. We got climate change mitigation, fuck the planet, that sort of shit. We got Christian nationalism, which Hody couldn't be here this week, but he gave this really good impassioned speech against Christian nationalism last week because fuck that shit. And generally speaking, we're down to expansion of presidential powers. So I will read the Wikipedia entry and we will get to that. The notion of independent federal agencies, this is a quote, or federal employees who don't answer to the president violates the very foundation of our democratic republic, Heritage President Kevin Roberts argues. Project 2025 seeks to place the federal government's entire executive branch under direct presidential control, eliminating the independence of the DOJ, the FBI, the Federal Communications Commission, the Federal Trade Commission, and other agencies. The plan is based on an interpretation of the military executive theory, arguing that Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution was vests executive power solely in the president. Project 2025 proposes that the Department of State employees and leadership roles should be dismissed by the end of January 20th, 2025. It calls for installing senior State Department leaders in acting roles that do not require Senate confirmation. Chiron Skinner, gotta love how evil like so many of these names sound. We had anybody here who's seen
I'm pretty sure Chiron is a villain in something.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, how you know we're
Is he
in this?
related to Leonard?
yeah. And we've got like Vought. If anybody who's watched The Boys, there's a guy involved in this called Vought. He's literally Vought. So
I mean, like, okay, imagine having a name like Larry Fink, like,
yeah, he's gonna rat fuck somebody.
Yeah, I mean, like,
or I mean, okay, a con artist named Bernie Madoff.
Yeah.
This is a simulation. Okay, this is a simulation.
Yeah, they're lying to us. This is how we can unplug. But it turns out like the stem isn't plugged into our spine. It's plugged in right near the base of our ass. So it's technically gay if we pull out. Yeah, fucking
Pulling out makes
So
it.
if you're brave enough to go in between the cheeks and pull it out,
I'm sorry. Wait,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Pulling out makes it gay.
yeah,
Oh.
because it's already in there. If you pull it out, what you want to get stimulated? Yeah, think
Oh.
about that, liberal.
Okay.
So Chiron Skinner, who wrote the State Department chapter of Project 2025, ran the department's Office of Policy Planning for less than a year during the Trump administration before being forced out of the department. She considers most State Department employees too left-wing and wants them replaced by those more loyal to a conservative president. When asked by Peter Bergen in June 2024 if she could name a time when State Department employees obstructed Trump policy, she said she could not. If Project 2025 were implemented, congressional approval would not be required for the the sale of military equipment and ammunition to a foreign nation, unless, quote, unanimous congressional support is guaranteed. Trump said in 2019 that Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution grants him the right to do whatever as president, a common claim among supporters of the unitary executive theory. Similarly, in 2018, Trump claimed he could fire Special Counsel Robert Mueller. Trump is not the first president to consider policies related to the unitary executive theory. The idea has seen a resurgence in popularization within the Republican Party since the 9/11 terror attacks in 2001. In November 2023, The Washington Post reported that deploying the military for domestic law and immigration enforcement under the Insurrection Act of 1807 would be an immediate priority for a second Trump administration. That aspect of the plan was being led by Jeffrey Clark, a contributor to the project and former official in Trump's Department of Justice. Clark is a senior fellow at the Center for Renewing America, a Project 2025 partner. The plan reportedly includes directing the DOJ to pursue those Trump considers disloyal or political adversaries for his alleged acts while working at the DOJ during the end of Trump's term. Clark has become a Trump co-defendant in the Georgia election racketeering prosecution and an unnamed co-conspirator in the federal prosecution of Trump for alleged election obstruction. After the Post story was published, a Heritage spokesperson said that Project 2025 contains no plans related to the Insurrection Act or targeting of political enemies. Media Matters reported that several Project 2025 partners praised the 2024 Supreme Court decision Trump v. U.S., which grants broad immunity from prosecution for acts committed in the course of a president's official duties. In 2023, Michael Hirsch wrote that little of Project 2025's agenda is likely to happen, citing conservative scholars and government experts who criticize its plan to reform the federal bureaucracy as completely naive, making the federal government more incompetent, chaotic, and amateurish. Those were words I said. Now everybody can say words about those words I said.
One thing I'd want to say is, if you know who Jeffrey Clark is, he was the person that, when Trump implemented the Schedule, the F, executive order, he wanted to put replace him, Jeffrey Rosen with Jeffrey Clark at DOJ. And about 50 or so frontline DOJ operatives and agents and lawyers all said that they'd resign if he did that. He got in so much hot trouble for it that he ended up not doing it. So that's what they were going to do. They were going to use him in the DOJ after the election to try and overturn the election and get that taken care of that way. And that was the plan there. And it would turn the executive branch amateurish, but I don't think they care as long as they're getting what they want done.
The Wikipedia picture for Jeffrey Bosser Clark looks like he cheated on his wife and he doesn't want anybody to find out. I'm just going to say that.
Apparently he did a terrible job covering it up if it's on Wikipedia.
Yeah,
Well,
see?
He most likely, I mean, if you saw what happened at the National Convention with the grinder outage, he might be cheating on his wife, but it may not be with another woman.
So was that real? Because I saw that and I'm like, come on, that can't. I mean, we know that we know a lot of these people.
I don't know. I saw that everywhere.
That actually be real?
It probably might have
I
been related
saw a
to
lot of that.
CrowdStrike.
Like, I want it to be because it's fucking
Yeah,
hilarious. But
I haven't checked to see if it wasn't, somebody made a satire and it just got passed around. I haven't looked it
Right.
up yet. But it's a funny story.
Well, Brad, do you want to speak to that?
No, I've seen a bunch of stuff about it, but I've not seen anything that like really proves it. Honestly, at this point, I don't really care. Like, a lot of these people are turning out to be like complete hypocrites by what they say alone. So I mean, like, wouldn't be surprised.
Some of these motherfuckers got a walk-in closet.
right, like we found.
Well, I
how,
mean,
like,
we've had like closeted
like,
queens.
types like
I
dead.
hate the word closeted, by the way, but I don't know what else to say there. But we've had closeted queens in the MAGA army of politicians get outed and then literally kill themselves and stuff like that. They take this shit so seriously for complete hypocrites. I can't fucking believe that they're all straight.
Right.
Most oftentimes the people screaming loudest against us queer people are the people who are fucking most insecure by it.
Right. Well, it's like the people who go on about groomers, like, and then they turn out to be like. It's like, okay, why are you so convinced that that these particular activities constitute grooming unless you're seeing minors in a particular way?
Yeah, it's like TX2 saying,
Well,
I think
yeah.
DeSantis is gay. That's a great line in that song.
I've actually learned recently of a phenomenon where there are a lot of men who are straight or straight-ish who grow up and like they sort of become gayer or they embrace their gayness over time. They don't necessarily come out in high school. I have a friend who's going through that right now. So maybe these Republican grinder outage people are kind of like that in a way. I mean, on the one hand, it's hilarious and we should not let them be off the hook for oppressing others. But on the other hand, I wouldn't use it as, for me personally, I wouldn't use it as a gotcha unless a Republican was specifically anti-gay.
Right. Well,
Dude, no. If you're a Republican, you are anti-gay. Like, you are supporting anti-gay policies and anti-gay pushes and anti-gay parties and anti-gay politicians. It does not matter if you say mean things about them. You are encouraging it. And there should be literally no sympathy for people who are pushing the message that there is literally no oppression against gay people while they're having to live out being oppressed. No.
I'm
That
still
doesn't
not gonna
make
use it as
sense
a
to me.
gotcha.
That's up to you.
It's not a gotcha. It's just telling. It's just like a perfect picture of their complete falsities. Like, all they do is lie, and it comes out all over their face. Like, they're consistently wearing their lies, and they shouldn't be given sympathy just because they're not saying the quiet part out loud. They're voting the quiet part out loud.
Right. I'm just wondering if this is related to that phenomenon, and if so, how that we would develop over time into having a more full understanding of what human sexuality actually is, which is a very interesting topic.
Oh, well, at some point,
It'd be really nice if they weren't quoting the people that caused us to lose so much science and information about that very thing.
Mm-hmm. So we'll talk about this more in depth, possibly even in this call, because like there's some stuff in here about culture, but like generally speaking, the thing I wanted to like really highlight is they want to isolate presidential power so that they have to ask less permission as presidents.
Yeah.
That's fucking evil. Anybody got words about that?
So you mean like the plan to basically, rather than actually abolish a lot of these three-letter agencies, there's talk about like defunding them, but also overhauling them in such a way that it staffs them with people who are more loyal to the current administration?
The Malay pill.
Yeah, this is all, to me, this is one big cluster of, hey, if we just magically put the right conservatives that love America right in the administration, then suddenly there'll be this magical shift and everything will work out.
Oh,
great.
no, they have a step-by-step plan and lessons. We were just talking about that, honey. They're not planning on any magic. They're planning on step-by-step in this shit.
Oh, we just need
But here's my thing.
We need the
Already
right
in progress.
experts in power.
Yes, I've heard this before. I've heard this from like the Steve Bannon types that they say, well, Kareem, you know, like they'll even try and cozy up with libertarians. They're like, we're libertarians too. We agree with you. Man, the government's corrupt. I'm like, okay. And then I'll say like defund. They're like, whoa, wait, no, we don't need to do that. All we need to do is get the right people in the right positions. You see, these guys are good. I'm like, no, that you're rearranging chairs on the Titanic. I even told that to all my libertarian friends who are like, well, what do you think will happen in this election? I don't know. It's a Titanic. It's going to hit an iceberg.
Well, that happened a long time ago. We've been sinking.
Yeah, we're trying to get people out of the water before they get too cold now.
So Ron Paul's been right about most things. I don't agree with him on everything, but he's been right about 99.9% of stuff. And he said specifically at the Libertarian Convention, the empire is fallen. The empire is gone. It just isn't readily apparent because it's a slow decline. To me, the empire is already gone, so they can put whatever they want.
Well,
right
awesome. The empire's gone. The Palestinians are fine.
Yeah,
I know it's still in its
dying.
It's still trying to keep from dying.
If anything, it's more dangerous now while it's in its dying.
Absolutely.
Or it's not dying and it has to go through one of these phases every like 100 years or so of massive world conflict so that they can re-isolate power and keep people in corporations and banks in their positions and money so that the people that might revolt against them can be labeled traitors.
It's dying.
There's reason to believe
I've proved it's dying. Saudi Arabia, okay.
Families that were like that have been in power throughout multiple empires.
Yeah, because I'd say it's dying because Saudi Arabia is not renewing the petrodollar deal, and that's what the empire is largely predicated on. It's also very clear to me that people are fighting each other, and this whole republic thing isn't working. I don't see this lasting more than 10, 15 years. I just don't. I could be wrong. I don't think Ron Paul is. So to me...
Yeah, but they can kill a lot of people in 10 to 15 years.
They can. I'm not saying...
Just like Rose said, the death throes of an empire are its most deadly moments.
Okay.
People were saying the same thing in the 70s, 60s, and 70s when all the stuff was going down then. 100 years ago, we had a lot of the same things happening as well with all the immigration reform and the rise of the second KKK and everything else. I mean, it's cyclical, right?
Yeah.
So don't mistake the turning of the wheel with the stopping of the wheel.
Was that a Game of Thrones reference?
No, no, that's actually a Wheel of Time reference.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it could be a Game of Thrones reference.
That the cycle can be broken pretty much every time it goes through these crazy fucking moments, but will it? Who knows?
And like
And I do
also
know that this form of capitalism that is being practiced all across the world is not sustainable at all.
also
But
just
the ability
Period.
to kick the can down the road, like, yeah.
also
Yeah.
also
It may
It's
last
impressive.
longer, but
also
I'm sorry. I
just
keep talking.
just to be clear, I'm just gonna say like just real quick. Saudi Arabia may have cut a deal, cut the like the part of the deal about oil off, but that's likely temporary. They're probably drafting something else right now, and the reason I'm saying that is because
Yeah, so
their
with China.
no, their currency is pegged to the dollar. It's literally valuated in U.S. dollars still. So unless they totally like got their unless they totally got their economic like dependence on the US dollar off, then like the petrodollar is a puff of smoke. Like the petrodollar in this case, in the case of Saudi Arabia, is a puff of smoke because Saudi Arabia, the fucking rial is literally pegged to the dollar. That isn't a petrodollar scheme. That's literally currency pegging in the same way that Argentina is getting pegged real hard by the US, in the same way that like so many of these other countries that dollarized got pegged. It's the same kind of shit. They're all fucking pegged. And so when you say that the petrodollar is dead, maybe, but also consider something else. The gold rush now isn't in petro, it's in lithio. It's in all these fucking metals and gems and things that they can use to build their more modern computer tech. They don't give a fucking shit about oil to the most degree. They still like it, but it's like they're trying to transition onto the new tech thing that they can use to more easily control people. They can't control people as well with cars that they can't remote shut off. With cars that don't have an API and a fucking touchscreen built by fucking Elon fucking free speech, free market Musk, fucking transphobic piece of shit. Like they like the more modern paradigm. They don't need fucking oil. So the idea that the petrodollar dying means the dollar's dying while so many countries are still dollarizing, fuck no it doesn't. And if it did, if the dollar did die, guess what economies would go down with it? Everybody who's a part of the hegemony, including Saudi Arabia. So they ain't gonna fucking let that happen. It doesn't mean shit. It's a fucking puff of smoke designed to spur consumption. It's market bullshit. It's news propaganda. Corpaganda.
It's not news propaganda. Well, because here's the thing. And also in the 70s, fine, like there's cycles. I get it. Things happen. But there's also the fact that BRICS is pushing very strongly for de-dollarization. That seems to be a growing trend and probably will be a growing trend. It's not...
You know which countries dollarized? The ones
Malay's
that don't...
trying to dollarize.
Yeah. You know which countries... That is a thing. You know which countries try to dollarize? The countries that don't give a fuck what BRICS wants. The countries that don't... The countries that don't like BRICS are the ones that dollarize. They don't give a shit that BRICS wants them to de-dollarize because BRICS is already an economic enemy of them, or at least on that it's not on paper. So that's also not evidence the empire is collapsing. The empire is stronger than ever.
No, it's not. Ron Paul's right.
He's old.
I don't care. What does that even mean?
It means he's like similar age bracket to fucking Biden, and they're probably making very similar statements in terms of...
Whoa. Okay, fine, yeah, but like Ron Paul's a little bit more cognizant than Biden, I think.
Okay, but that doesn't mean that because he said something, it's
fair,
right.
Yeah, he's fallen down fewer stairs and stuff.
But he had a stroke.
He can still make a whole sentence. Like, he's better off.
But he had a stroke.
Yeah, he is very
He had
old
a stroke,
at this point.
yeah. Okay, look, Ron Paul's been on geopolitics. I got the whole newsletter thing. I'll go into that. On geopolitics, he's been pretty damn accurate.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean the empire has fallen. Accuracy in that statement involves more than faith and saying Ron Paul, Ron Paul. And I have facts that don't back that up.
Well, I do.
I Paul, but he's not God. He is not God.
We all really, really want the empire to fall and die. We would really like there to be a world of pixies and fucking daisies and shit, but
I didn't say
and free chili dogs forever.
The issue is, even if this empire does fall, we can't.
Good argument.
Like, we're probably not going to get something better. Like, we're not. Humanity is not evolved to the point of just adopting anarchy or anything like that.
I don't
So,
know what
like,
we're gonna get.
the
That's-
fall of the empire may just be the rise of the regime. Like, we can't
No.
be too fucking excited about that shit.
I'm
Well,
kind of worried about what's going to replace it. Like, that's why we need
Yep.
to form networks
well,
now,
that's
so that we can sort of resist
We
and
need
live
to-
outside of whatever.
Yeah,
rights.
organize.
Not
Build
just
the
say-
parallels.
Not just
I
say
don't even
it's
know if they're
already
building
down.
Chili dogs. There may not be chili dog ingredients for that are easily obtainable.
That's bullshit, lady. We can make chili dogs. We can make them
the fuck?
better and better.
We
I
must.
can
we
make
must
a
must
chili dog.
Organic
We
chili
must.
dogs.
Can you grow grain and
We
Brett, I don't
must
think
convert
anything's
the
gonna happen.
elites. We must.
We can
We
do
must-
this shit. Also,
we
we're not
must
gonna just
convert the
lose
elites.
technology.
Everybody keeps talking over me. Anyway, my point is, look, okay, Ron Paul's old. What did he do? I don't care. That's not a good argument. Like, literally, I'm not even going to consider that.
It's
So,
age-
He has definitely been wrong about stuff, though. I mean,
The
like,
problem with Ron,
pretty good.
I like Ron Paul. I think he's a very honest person, but I also think that his macroeconomics are permanently stuck in 18.
I'm not even talking about that.
the problem
Yeah.
with Ron Paul
that's
is
fair.
that he is easily manipulated by the people he keeps around him.
Maybe, but
Oh,
he's been
I
correct
hate that.
on geopolitics. A lot
I
of
do not
time.
agree.
I don't like Daniel McAdams simping for Putin. Fair enough.
To be fair, anytime any of these people get too much attention, I almost immediately become extra critical, and there's almost like, and like I'm not
What?
trying to say, oh, Ron Paul is a horrible, evil person or anything, but like they become less, the higher up they get lifted or the more attention they get or whatever, they just kind of like forget where they were and what they were doing.
And like,
Maybe.
Plus, a
But
cult
here's
of
the
personality kind of wraps around them as well too, and you have to be careful
Okay.
of that.
Yeah,
Right.
it's really bad
That's-
for you.
Okay, here's the thing. That's all true. There's libertarian personalities that like Ron Paul. I like Ron Paul though, so, but I'm not getting it. All I'm saying is this: not his macroeconomics, not the people around him,
okay.
just his geopolitical predictions have been fairly spot on.
But this isn't a prediction. If he says the empire has fallen, it's a statement of present fact. What did he use to back that?
What did he use to back that? What he didn't really like go through statistics. He let me and Rose was there as well. Rose and Bryce were there. He said the empire's fallen. He said
Hello.
what we need to
He
do.
talked long enough that I started zoning out. I will admit that. And I like him. I have serious ADHD.
It just sounds like he's
If a
saying
speech
shit
goes
that
on for
people
longer
want to
than 10
hear.
minutes,
'Cause,
Yes.
like, people
Yeah.
do want to
Bryce
hear
and Rose
that.
actually backed me up on this. He wasn't just saying, he doesn't just go to conferences to say BS. Here's the thing. He said two things. The empire is done, which I believe it is.
More than two things, but yes.
Here's the thing. He said
Well,
the-
he
needed to buy us time because we were waiting for votes to be counted, though, and everyone was getting really impatient.
he said the empire is fallen in a libertarian convention that needed relevance by inviting fucking duopolists, yo.
and it's not
Yeah,
just that. It's
yeah,
not just that as
yeah.
well. This is the same messaging that Russia has been trying to push
Yes.
for a decade since 2014, when they were going to get everybody off the dollar and they were going to do the Russia-China thing. It was all going to go to that. That was the big propaganda push back then. It was over 10 years ago after the invasion of Ukraine and a bunch of we put a bunch of things on them where they couldn't spend money and things
Sanctions.
like that. Sanctions,
Which
Sanctions.
Ron Paul calls an act of war.
But that's
I like.
but that
I
the
like
empire
Ron
is
Paul.
falling.
I
The
agree
United
with
States
Ron,
is
but
falling.
I wish
has
it
been-
had fallen, but it hasn't. I mean,
Right.
the ability for the ruling class to kick the can down the road is, like I said, fairly impressive. Like, we don't actually know how much longer they're going to be able to stretch this out.
But
Okay, so I would also say another thing, if we're going to get into the economics of the thing, is the average person, including myself, even with all my side hustles and everything, You know, the average person is having trouble living due to inflation will keep going up. And inflation, you know, the way they're handling immigration, things like that. To me, this is, I mean, I've read a little bit of empires. I'm not a historian.
What to do with immigration is changing shit?
Well, because of immigration, if you look at Rome, Rome got what? Well, I mean, I do make comparisons to Rome and the Soviet Union because they're subsidizing immigration because
They're not.
They are subsidizing immigration.
These immigrants are overwhelmingly coming from nations that they fucked up. The immigrants wouldn't be leaving those nations if they didn't.
But they're subsidizing some of this through plane rides, buses, stuff like that.
Right. That's a new thing. Like, okay, it used to be people were just coming here to like work and to get
yeah. And that's fine.
Like for themselves. Now there's in recent years there actually is what I feel like can only be really described as human trafficking. Like there are people being trafficked and sent around the country.
Actually, that's a better word.
I don't honestly know. Like my first thought was labor trafficking. Also, I'm sure like certain political parties, want vote harvesting, for example. But
how did Rome fall? Too many wars. I guess if you want to call it by national trafficking, random people from countries that they messed up. Hyperinflation of the currency, and people were divided.
Rome fell because Rome fell because they spread their empire too much, and because while they were spreading their empire too much, they also cannibalized their own people and fucking imposed a whole lot of strict and harsh fucking bullshit cultural things until their cultures split along religious lines and shit. It had very little to do with inflation. What the fuck?
They kept lying to their neighbors and screwing them over and pissing them off, and then finally they just got tired of it and took over.
Yes.
So this Project 2025, to bring it full circle, is that strict thing. This is the last part of a dying empire.
I don't know about that, but something I noticed in that paragraph that Jeremiah just read.
Yeah.
It says, where is it? Right. If Project 2025 were implemented, congressional approval would not be required for the sale of military equipment and ammunition to a foreign nation unless unanimous congressional support is guaranteed. And I went and found the actual page in the document where it's talking about this. Let's see. They're complaining because they didn't build as many battleships in 2021. We have the biggest military in the world, so I don't think that made much of a difference. But so let's see. End informal congressional notification. This is directly from Project 2025 Mandate for Leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Informal congressional notification or tiered review is a hindrance to ensuring timely sales to our global partners. The tiered review process is not codified in law. It is merely a practice by which the Department of State provides a preview of prospective arms transfers before Congress is formally notified. 1. End the tiered review process to eliminate at least 20 days from the FMS process. 2. Use the tiered review process only when unanimous congressional support is guaranteed in order to eliminate the weaponization by select members of Congress that has prevented billions of dollars of arms sales from moving into formal congressional notification.
That's really fucking bad. Hey, Saudi Arabia, you want easier arms sales?
We could just give Israel as much money as we fucking want to.
Hey. Hey, that's not nice. We don't give Israel arms. We just store them there, and they're totally ours, but Israel can use them if they want.
But they train our cops in return.
Yes, they do.
Win-win.
What we do with Israel...
Don't you know they have a right to defend themselves?
Yeah. Bryce.
Yeah, from Bibi Netanyahu.
What we're doing with Israel is we're giving them money so that they can then transfer that money back to the military contractors and then get their weapons.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's the thing. That's the reason the empire is stronger than ever, because they've found ways to have global partners that don't require full adherence to an imperial norm. And so they've found this is the way to, like, have the biggest empire in history, is to just make it hegemony instead of out and out empire, as it were.
Dude, look, like, Keith isn't here, but, like, I'm kind of, like, okay at history, like, you know, look at some history things. America is a dying empire, and I see combinations of Rome and the Soviet Union with issues with trafficking of immigration. Like I said, people are more divided. They have too many wars that they can't win. And if you really want to get into it, there are just, you know, cultural issues. I mean, there are literally people. Okay, and to give you a strong point on this that I can make, if you say the political compass is BS, fine, well, I'll agree. But if we take the political compass, the authoritarian left, right, and then green and libertarian green, I'm sure libertarian greens and obviously the right would say, yes, we want secession of some kind. But even if you remember this article, I don't like him, but John Podesta said if Trump won in 2020, the whole East Coast should secede. And he's not, that's Hillary Clinton's campaign manager. Similarly, I don't like her, but Marjorie Taylor Greene said that she wanted to push for secession on X or Twitter. Even and I've talked to some of the MAGA, some Democrat people who just say, hey, we're not getting along. It's not working. We need to fragment. Whether or not you think that's a good idea or not, I do see that as, and more people are open to the idea of breaking up, you know, the empire. That would result in the empire not working, whether or not you think that's good or not.
Right.
But you have to factor all
Both
these
Team Red and Team Blue are getting increasingly, open to the idea.
I like
So,
how John Podesta and Marjorie Taylor Greene, two of the most hated people in their circles, like, are being considered as the bellwethers for these operations. I don't think
I'm not saying they're the bellwethers, but they have significant pull. One's a congressman, one is a campaign funder. It's not just like a random dude. It's not like just a random delegate.
MTG has no pull.
exactly.
She's a congressperson.
He's a celebrity.
She's been kicked out of the caucus. She's hated by her own party. She called for Biden to be impeached the day she got into office. That didn't happen. She has no power to do anything, and she's just a blowhard.
And Podesta got rat fucked out of every position.
Populist crowd, I think.
No, that's not correct, because look, people voted her in, so she has a base somewhere, even if it's people, whatever.
Yeah, there's a couple thousand people in one district that's been
specifically
curated and gerrymandered for her.
Fine, but someone is voting for her, okay? Like, it's not that I'm not saying I like her. Someone's voting for her. Someone likes what she has to say. I don't know who those people are. Probably don't want to hang out with them.
Okay.
She's a congressperson. Being a congressperson does give you some amount of power.
Okay.
Not a lot. That gives you some.
Massey does not want to secede, and he has way more pull in Republican circles. Fucking AOC does not want to secede, and she has more pull in Democrat circles than does Podesta. So the idea that
I don't think secession is a very realistic.
It's not, and it's definitely
thing at all.
And it's definitely
Massey
not popular.
Would be fine with secession. Massey would be totally fine with it. I know his staffer. I'm friends with his staffers. One of his staffers I can literally get on this show to tell you.
Okay, then let's get that staffer on.
If we're talking about this now, so what's the step-by-step process for actually doing this?
Right.
I don't know what the step-by-step process is. I know the empire is fragmenting. It is I don't know that there's a cookie recipe to it, but
so. Kareem, I got a question for you.
Well, let's work on that, and then
read a history book, and you will see this is a empire.
Okay, Kareem,
if you want to read a history book, read a history book. United States. Look at 1960s and 70s. It was a lot more fragmented than it is now, and we came through it just fine because it's a cycle. And we had race killings in the streets. We had Kent State. We had protests. We had much more division then as we do now. and everybody's like, "Oh, things are horrible, things are bad." These are usually people who don't remember or look at that specific part of our history.
And real quick,
Whether underground movement set off a bomb in the fucking Congress.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they didn't just steal a podium. So like, let's be super clear here. Like, fucking okay. There's a thing called rally around the flag effect, and it's when like there's some crystallizing events that happen that get people back on board with some level of unity. First off, the Trump ear nick is being called a fucking rally around the flag event for that reason.
Ew.
And like
people
people are like, oh yeah, we must unite against political violence, even though they jacked off over each other's corpses for like 2,000 years. But like the general,
They're just saying stuff. They don't believe it.
the general thing is that among probably several other upcoming like crystallizing incidents are going to be the kinds of things that are used as rally around the flag, and these rally around the flag events will be used as ways to say that we need more protections from terrorism and treason and etc. and etc. It happens all the fucking time.
It's private.
And so
It's not going to work this time.
it works every time.
At least conservatives figured out the Patriot Act.
They're becoming less effective because
Well,
people are
I
so
But
mean-
conservatives
polarized.
push that
11
shit.
worked, rally around the flag effect.
Yeah.
But
People
like,
are more polarized than
the
ever.
stupid Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping bullshit was supposed to be one of those. It didn't really work because
Well, it didn't work out because it was fabricated and everybody found out.
it was.
Yeah.
But no, I remember hearing like from some of my diehard Democrats that I work with. They're like, "Did you hear what happened? These right-wing extremists were trying to kidnap a governor," and I'm like, "Based. I hate that governor." Yeah. Anyway, though,
Yeah,
in
don't return.
Minecraft, I hate that
A very
governor.
popular governor, though. That would have
But
worked.
I'm just saying, like, there have been
They
all
don't.
these what appear to be attempts, and no one seems to be, only like one side of the divide seems to be buying it.
Okay.
Well, look at what's going to happen with mass
Well,
migration,
yeah.
mass deportation, right? Mass deportation. If Trump gets in, it's going to go into place.
Mm-hmm.
Massive police state
Mm-hmm.
right off the
Yeah.
bat.
Right.
What do you think is going to happen?
Well, yeah.
It's not going to be the fall of the empire.
No, and like
Yeah.
if and even if the empire does fall, it's not going to happen before 2025 gets implemented even further, and we're going to be living in a literal fascist state.
Mm-hmm.
So like instead of talking about whether or not the empire is falling, we should probably be talking about how we're going to survive the empire.
Right. And there's also reason to believe that like the current ruling class actually wants the right-wing populists such as Trump in office because they're actually planning. There's actually people who plan on having
Well,
an
they're all
economic
on the
collapse
same side.
within the next couple of years, and then they're going to use this to further centralize their power and implement things like a central bank digital currency.
I don't
So
think any of
they
this
actually
stuff
there's going to be an economic collapse, and there's no getting around that. So they're going to try to wield this to their advantage while also having their opponents
Exactly.
in time when it happens.
I
Their
doubt it.
opponents, as if anybody
Well-
here believes they're not on the same side.
In
Yeah.
general, I agree, but the Trump thing, like the whole thing with like Trump and the MAGA movement, versus like the mainstream political establishment,
Nothing up
I
there.
think that, yeah, like I think it kind of represents an important internal struggle within the ruling class. Like Trump represents.
Well, I
kind of-
mean, they always chew
You're-
on each other and eat on each other, and they make a huge show of it. And nowadays, the stage is even fucking bigger. But, like,
oh, I
at the
agree.
end of the day,
They're
they
just
still
kind
go
of
home and sit down at the same
internal
tables. They still do business in the same little fucking circles. They still literally sit at the same board meetings and shit like that. Like, there is no side. It's all a show. Even the fucking MAGA shit is part of it. You cannot get traction. You cannot get this kind of attention unless they fucking want you to have that attention. And when they give it to you, when you get that attention, you will get whatever flavor of attention they choose for you to get.
Mm-hmm. And
Generally,
They
I
will completely
the parties,
fabricate
but
shit.
it's a show.
They do it all the goddamn time.
Right. The MAGA movement seems to basically, like, they want something very similar to what we have, but they kind of seem to want their own version of it. Like it's
Yep.
and the current ruling
Well, they
establishment
think they
seems seems to genuinely want to prevent them from getting it. So
Trump
It
is
seems
part of
a
the
lot.
I
ruling
don't see that
class.
at all.
Yes, he is.
I don't really see them.
the show that we
If
normally
they really wanted to prevent
Yes.
it, they'd be doing a lot more than just hollering and making a few fucking
Mhm.
Yeah,
This-
I
this
just
is
don't
a
really think they
cyclical-
want to stop it at all.
There's a cyclical populist movement that rises and falls in the United States and has for hundreds of years.
And everywhere else.
Well,
like
the
not just the
existence
US.
of
You
the
can...
Trump and
Go.
Oh, sorry. The existence of the Trump and MAGA movement is profitable
Yes.
for all quote sides.
I mean, Trump won in 2016. That was my general impression. I'm like, okay, clearly he's part of the establishment, and this whole thing is just a show that they're making a big deal out of. But then I don't know. I kind of started like
I don't know that it's a show.
when I saw
but-
the like when I saw the reaction to him, I'm like, I wonder if there actually is like some kind of something else going on here,
Nah.
where this is like there's
Yeah,
some
no.
kind of struggle going on. with
These
this
motherfuckers
thing.
want more power.
This is just a new chapter.
rising
Like
up in-
they've
is-
added some new tropes to the soap opera, but there's nothing really
Yeah,
different.
and the other half
Mhm.
of it,
There's-
real quick, like Runhold immediately after me. They like the ratchet effect. They love it because whenever any president and any other person in power gets fucking more power in their administration, they like to jack off and be like, my freedom. But then the next time that they're in office, they don't fucking get rid of shit.
They just trade spots
Yeah.
every time, and they don't change anything.
Grows in power regardless.
Yeah.
And they
Every single
continue
time.
to move forward it with this giant machine towards fascism. They all fucking
and
put
the-
it into
the
place.
people
They all
who
pay for
support
it.
one side-
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's no difference between Trump and the MAGA movement than there was with America First
Well-
in the late 20s and early 30s,
Absolutely,
leading into World
that
War
is
II.
so true.
Yep.
Yes,
Same movement,
yes,
the same
it is
people,
exactly the same shit, same tactics, same slogans. They didn't even
Yeah.
change
They
some
didn't
of the
bother
slogans.
changing,
Some
yeah.
of them are literally like they did get fancy with some of them and changed a little bit, but most of it's exactly the same. Like
People are calling themselves American First Republicans and stuff like that. It's like they're using the exact same languages. And
By the way, you
It's
were
like-
muted. I think you muted yourself, Graham. We can't hear you.
I was gonna say it's like the know nothings that like I'm not familiar with that like personally, obviously, of the 60s and 70s because I wasn't alive, but just my historical excavation of that stuff. Yeah, I see populist movements, the know nothings, even people that were around like the Ross Perot campaign where they compared Ross Perot kind of to Trump, but you can maybe see the thing there. I guess my answer is what do you do to survive? The state is, that's why I pushed the Rojava thing
Yeah.
pretty hard, because they're surviving not one, I'm being be a salesman, they're not surviving one state, Syria, they're not surviving two states, Turkey, if you want to call ISIL a state, that would be three, Iran, and then there's probably a couple hostile, they have like, I would assume maybe some other Arab states, so like say 5 or 6 states are hostile to the PKK in that region, yet they're still able to maintain a democratic and federalist
For sure.
libertarian socialist society. So if they can do it with all, it's a Somali argument, if they can do it with those circumstances, which are not good circumstances, we can figure out a way to do it here.
And I can agree with
yeah,
that.
and it's gonna start with us confederating all of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like all I'm saying, I'm not saying I disagree with that. That's an ace statement. But what I am saying is that what we need to do is recognize first that the empire has not fallen and is amping itself up. Because we need, the first step in avoiding a trap is knowing of its existence. If we don't know that this trap exists, if we don't know that the empire is there, if we just believe Ron Paul in saying that it's not, or that it's dying, then it's not going to help us. We're not going to look at the advancements and the massive growth and the massive increasements in their power, and we're going to lose.
I think they're trying to grasp on, I think they're, okay, so two things can be true at once. Something can be dying, an empire can be dying, and every empire that's died, this is another characteristic, they grab on to power more and more. Like, have you ever heard the I think it's a lot on the Trad West thing, but like the more corrupt an empire or the closer it is, the more its rules. So they're putting more and more rules, more and more power, more and more grabs, more and more ways to come at people. What we need to do is, like Brett said, confederate, and we can build parallel dual power structures, whatever you want to call them.
Except,
And the Kurds are doing it. We can do it. I have high optimism there. I know you're going to be black-pilled, but like whatever.
I agree that we should do something, and I agree that that's a good thing to start. But I'm just going to say, the fact that the Empire has better tools and better connection with better hegemony than better has ever bettered before better, that's what we need to focus on now. If we don't, we're going to lose. Because the primary thing we need to do is understand all of their tools, as many of them as possible, because if we don't, we're going to lose to a technocratic empire that is more complicated than anything history has ever seen before. Rome,
and we need to be focusing on all of those groups that are already standing against great empires and learning their tactics and starting to fucking like commit those things to our memories and shit, because at some point we may not even be able to access that shit.
Yeah.
Like, start making copies of that shit, make manuals. I don't fucking know.
I mean, we can't. This government ain't. You guys are giving it way too much credit. Like, people like Kamala Harris and Donald Trump probably can't operate a smartphone, and they're going to run a technocratic empire.
Those aren't the people who are doing the
ones
actual
be
control.
part.
They're the fucking figureheads.
They're just microphones. They're cock sleeves for the state.
Like, don't tell me that the people who actually are at the reins
is wielding power.
Don't tell me that the people who are actually at the reins don't understand how to run this shit. They do. That's the reason
Their
it's running already.
technology is at least 20 years ahead of anything we have access to.
Maybe not that much, but
either way, speaking of isolating power, the next segment of Project 2025 is personnel changes. And JD, you are muted. Project 2025 proposes reclassifying of thousands of federal civil service workers as political appointees in order to replace them with Trump loyalists who would be willing to bend or break protocol or in some cases violate laws to achieve his goals. It established a personnel database shaped by Trump's ideology. The project uses a questionnaire to screen potential recruits for their adherence to the project's agenda. Throughout his presidency, Trump was accused of removing people he considered disloyal, regardless of their ideological conviction, such as former Attorney General William Barr. In the last year of his presidency, White House Presidential Personnel Office employees James Bacon and John McEntee developed a questionnaire to test potential government employees' commitment to Trumpism. Bacon and McEntee joined the project in May 2023. The project recommends that a White House counsel be selected who is deeply committed to the president's America First agenda. Project 2025 is aligned with Trump's plans to fire more government employees than allocated to the president using Schedule F, a job classification Trump established in October 2020. Be well, Kevin. Thank you.
All right. See you all later, everybody. I got an early day tomorrow.
All right, bye.
Actually, good seeing you again. For real, man.
Yeah.
Good night.
A job classification Trump established in an October 2020 executive order. Biden rescinded the classification in January 21. Trump has said he would restore it. The Heritage Foundation plans to have 20,000 personnel in its database by the end of 2024. Thought, again, can't say that's not ironic, said that the project's goal to remove federal workers would be, quote, a wrecking ball for the administrative state. Clearly he's a Cyrus fan. As of 2024, only about 4,000 government positions are deemed political appointments. That could change with each administration. Schedule F would affect tens of thousands of professional federal civil servants who have spent many years working under both Democrat and Republican administrations. According to Donald Moynihan, a professor of public policy at Georgetown University, while the apolitical and meritocratic selection of public servants is vital to administrative functioning, the Republican Party increasingly views them and political sector unions as threats or resources to be controlled. In February 2024, Kevin Roberts said, quote, People will lose their jobs. Hopefully, their lives are able to flourish in spite of that. Buildings will be shut down. Hopefully, they can be repurposed for private industry. Project 2025 encourages the U.S. Congress to require federal contractors to be 70% American citizens, ultimately raising the limit to 95. By June 2024, the American Accountability Foundation, a conservative opposition research organization led by former aide to the Republican Senator Tom Jones, was researching certain key high-ranking federal civil servants' backgrounds. Called Project Sovereignty 2025, the undertaking received a $100,000 grant from Heritage, with the objective of posting names on a website of 100 people who might oppose Trump's agenda. Announcing the grant in May 2024, Heritage wrote that the research's purpose was to alert Congress, a conservative administration, and the American people to the presence of anti-American bad actors burrowed in the administrative state, and ensure appropriate action is taken. Some found Project Sovereignty 2025 reminiscent of McCarthyism, when many Americans were persecuted and blacklisted as alleged communists. Political scientist Francis Fukuyama has said that while the federal bureaucracy is in dire need of reform, Schedule F would, quote, dangerously undermine the functionality of the government. Hey there. How you doing? Yeah?
Yeah.
So, y'all can say words about that now.
Jeez. That's
well, I mean,
just
that's what I
a
was talking about.
dictatorship setting up. Like they all do the same thing.
Yeah, sounds like just a whole.
Well,
it sounds literally like
here's
fashion.
here's a perfect example though. Esper, when they were protesting going on, Trump wanted to have the police shoot protesters, shoot them in the leg, don't kill them, right? Mike Esper told him, no, you can't do that. Now imagine if somebody was in that position who was loyal to Trump, who would say, yeah, okay, whatever you say.
Okay, sure.
And give the order. And then the people who were front line were loyalists and they carried out that order. What do you think would happen? I mean, that's the sort of thing that when they're talking about replacing all these people, they're wanting to just eliminate people who would say, no, we can't do that because it's against the Constitution. They want people loyal to Trump or whoever the president is, based on what they were saying, so that there would be no questioning of that. There would be no pushback of that. It would just be follow through and do it.
Yeah.
And that's the most dangerous part of this whole thing.
Right, because there's been concern for a long time about whether the military will actually listen if they were given orders to fire on U.S. citizens. So a lot of the most recent administrations have been, trying to staff the military with people who they think, are just going to carry out.
I don't know.
Aren't going
You
to
could
have
always
it.
go ask the guy who shot Garrett.
Well, you remember Mark Milley, Trump wants to have him arrested and put in jail. Because Milley told him no. And if he goes to enough people, he's going to find someone who won't say no.
Yeah.
Right? These people, what bothers me is the complete lack of foresight. Because I'm sure there will be Trump supporters who are like, oh, yeah, this is awesome. Now we can stick it to those leftist protesters. It's the precedent that is set. I remember having this argument with people who, during the Obama administration, people who were Democrats who were perfectly fine with Obama setting the precedent that you could execute U.S. citizens overseas without any trial or even charges. And then Trump got elected, and I'm like, I bet you're not too happy about Trump now about the fact that precedent is now set, and now Trump could do the same thing, and suddenly that's a problem for them. It's the same thing. I'm sure Trump's people will be happy about the idea that you can crack down on protesters using the military. But they're not going to be happy with it once someone they don't like is back in office.
Yeah, and the Trump administration finished off the Al-Awlaki family. There was a little girl who was the daughter of
it was 7,
and she he staged a raid in a place she was at, and I think multiple American citizens died that day, but I know she was one of them, and she just left her shot in the neck, bleeding out on the floor.
And they're claiming, it was an accident. Right. They weren't just trying to wipe out the whole family.
Yeah, not tie up loose ends. No, he would never do that. And like,
Right.
and like that, then they don't say shit about it. They're like, "Oh, no new wars. He was the peace president." He droned so
Oh my
many
God.
motherfuckers that he was already on pace to beat Obama's record, and Obama had
Right.
already droned a shit ton of people. But the reason we knew about that was because he had a mandate. He instated where you had to report the amount of drones you used. Trump
Mhm.
removed that because he was breaking
Uh-huh.
records, and we're not supposed to talk about that. That's not loyal.
But he didn't start any new official wars, so right.
Yes, he did. As one person said on YouTube so elegantly, he did. Iran just declined the invitation.
Mm-hmm.
What's scary now is Vance was VP for a whole 5 seconds, and you know, aside from everything else, like all the couch jokes, all
I
he could do was
don't
say,
get. I don't understand the reference. So I guess I
yeah,
have something about fucking a couch.
yeah. But aside from that, like the first thing he does, like let's get Iran. We got to be tough on Iran. Like that's the only thing these people can. Now I don't know what will happen, but it seems to me he wants to push for more China hawk stuff and more Iran stuff, and say I don't care about Ukraine, which is interesting to me because Russia's allied with both of those. So these people still want to start World War III. It's ridiculous.
Hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
People have wanted war with Iran for the past 20 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, also,
If-
like the regular people that we end up arguing with and stuff like that, they may not see this shit. But as soon as one person starts to implement some dangerous practices, their freaking opponents are not fighting it. They're sitting there figuring out how they're going to use it in the next term.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So any
And if the precedent we're setting is that, or that the MAGA crowd wants to set, is that he didn't start any new official wars, well, okay. Officially, the U.S. has not been in a single war since World War II.
Mhm.
Every
Mhm.
Well, yeah, they're just, what are they
Fish.
called again?
quasi wars, undeclared wars,
Congressional actions.
Wasn't Iraq technically done through the proper channels, or I don't know? I was in high school at the time. I just remember,
Iraq had a
like,
status
being
of
in Congress
forces.
and the
Iraq had a
Right,
status
the
of forces agreement. It was not technically a war,
okay, yeah.
even though it
The
was a
fact
war.
that there's rules for
Yeah.
this shit just makes me hate statism even more.
Yeah, it's okay to drop bombs on civilians as long as you do it properly. You get proper authorization.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Ah!
It's legitimate when they do it.
Right.
Hey, Congress, in Minecraft, I want to.
yeah, right. So next section, and I think after this we'll probably be done for this particular stream because we took a lot of time.
We were too busy talking about condoms on chili dogs or something.
Yeah, but that's an important, it's a distinction, you know, whether
Yeah.
you raw dog or whether you go and protect it. I mean, it's just not the same feeling.
I mean, that.
So,
As long as you're at the tasty freeze when you do it.
yeah, right? Foreign affairs. On the campaign trail, Trump has avoided any real specificity about foreign policy plans for a second term. But Chiron Skinner, who wrote Project 2025's State Department chapter, considers China a major threat, and is critical of any conciliatory move toward it. In its preface, Project 2025 states, for 30 years, America's political, economic, and cultural leaders embraced and enriched communist China and its genocidal Communist Party while hollowing America's industrial base. Works of the U.S. Agency for International Development would be dramatically curtailed due to the Heritage Foundation's distaste for what it calls the agency's, quote, divisive political and cultural agenda that promotes abortion, climate extremism, gender radicalism, and interventions against perceived systemic racism. Perceived systemic racism, gender radicalism. These people are fucking shit. The word gender would be systematically purged from all USAID programs and documents. Program 2025 or Project 2025 in
Wait.
What?
Is it the whole word, just gender,
Yeah.
from all the documents?
Yeah.
Okay,
Gender be gone. Yeet.
Well,
Gender
what's funny,
abolition.
enough, like, aren't there
well, I mean, there we go. I get my way. No more gender. It's all gone.
gender?
If you can eliminate gender from all of that, aren't you
That's
admitting
it,
that gender is
Sterlings.
a
Gender is a
construct?
string
No,
what?
don't think too hard about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Gender.
Project
Yeah, these
2020.
guys are actually pretty progressive.
Yeah. Project 2025 indicates specific UN agencies to be defunded and suggests the president be given more power to allocate U.S. foreign aid. Such aid will not be allocated to help poorer countries address the impact of climate change. Rather, it will be devoted to advancing fossil fuel companies' interests. Project 2025 favors neither interventionism nor isolationism. Instead, it emphasizes that all decisions related to foreign policy must prioritize national interests. That's fascist playbook right there.
That sounds like Mussolini right out of the gate. To me,
That's why.
but what's funny though is with all of this stuff that conservatives don't realize. Let's say they even got. First of all, whenever somebody mentions gender this, gender that, I'm like, okay, what book are you trying? Like, I'm waiting for them to like you're saying, I want to do carnivore to sell stuff maybe, but when they say my gender, I'm waiting. All right, you're gonna sell a book saying, "Ooh, no, help! They're coming. The gender people are scary."
Well, conservatives are allergic to people actually coming, so.
Yeah, they are. Especially
We will also be
Well, I mean,
removing
again,
all
it's-
pronouns from all
Or
government
Newt
documents.
They
Gingrich.
can't. No one else should be able to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
Newt Gingrich doesn't want you to play with your wiener. But to me, what's funny is even saying they got this through, conservatives don't realize this is like the Patriot Act again. It's like 10 years later, like they used it against me, and that's that Pikachu meme. I'm like, yeah, because you'll get a Democratic czar, and what'll be funny is, okay, let's even assume Trump wins, you get your Project 2025, and then 5 years later, you get somebody like Harris. Oh boy, you literally like just switched it from fascist to authoritarian, whatever you want to call that. Authoritarian on the left.
I mean,
I think what the game plan is, and I could be completely full of shit here, but I think what the game plan is they want to give like the president as much power as possible, and then they also at the same time want to make it extremely hard to vote. And then the theory there is also several people. I don't know like how realistic this plan is, but they want to raise the voting age. You would have to amend the Constitution to do that. That's very hard to do, so I don't know about that one.
yeah,
but
but
like,
Vic
they want to make
Ramaswamy
it
wants that hard.
way harder to fucking vote. So then the theory is, I guess they'll just always be in power because only the people that they like will be able to vote for them.
Oh, I mean, we've
That
seen
might-
that in practice many times already. It wouldn't be that far-fetched.
I'm not saying it's far-fetched. There's something weird to me about all of this, which is half of this stuff. I know people say Trump is like he's a tough guy, he's all this. To me, his rhetoric sounds more tough guy, John Wayne, like I eat beef jerky, when I'm shooting my AR-15 with like my pants down or whatever people fantasize about. But I actually don't
Also,
think
John Wayne
Trump-
was also a racist and an actor.
Yes.
Like Ronald
You understand
Reagan.
that's one of the main aspects of fascism is a elevation of the machismo of the nation.
Yep.
It's a
Yeah.
celebration
Yep.
of the man and
100%.
putting down of the female.
And,
Yeah,
and
Sure.
especially those
I believe in America.
and especially those degenerate genders sponsored by the Jew. Can't have that. That was what Nazi Germany hated. So
Yeah,
much.
I also find it
Germany
really
was the
funny
first trans.
that,
That was
like,
the first trans clinic, wasn't it, in Germany?
Yeah,
before
Hirschfeld
the-
Institute.
well, yeah, it was general gender studies and trans stuff and everything.
Yeah, and
Yeah, if you.
Huh?
I feel like feel like we're doing like the Fuentes and Lucas Gage thing, like, hey, well, if you blame everything on the Jews, kind of like how conservatives are like, well, Ron tried to, Ron tried to do this, tried to do that. I guess
Well, you gotta
fascism.
be careful too, because like nowadays they mask it. Instead, they'll blame it on Marxists because the full line is it's the Marxists' fault and the Marxists are the Jews' fault. But they don't say that part. They just blame it on Marxism and leave it hanging there.
Or just we don't like bankers.
You mean?
I leave it hanging all the time. But to me, I actually don't think, if I'm being honest, I think even though Trump tries to be the tough guy, I feel he's like those locker room dudes. It's like, you looking at my girl? I'm like, yeah, I am. Like, I'm gonna do something
Picturing
about it. I'm like,
Trump
do something.
Well, you
in a
can't
locker room.
you can't get away with being the real story of Trump, because if you do get away with being like what he was trying to start with the populism and being the man of the people, you get fucking shot. We already did that. His name is Huey Long.
I'm saying Trump. But I'm not saying that. I'm just saying Trump really doesn't have a backbone. He's as
Well,
weak
yeah,
as
I mean,
Biden.
it has to be an act. It has to be playing with the fucking narrative, with the plan and shit. Because if you start playing outside of the plan, they murder your ass.
Or knee tendons. I mean, he doesn't have a backbone, but he definitely doesn't have knee tendons. You ever see how those things come off like this?
He doesn't have
Yeah.
Dude, I don't even know that he has
Yeah,
the
he
legs.
has
The way
those
he walks
fat
is
guys
weird.
where he like leans backward, but like his knees do, that weird thing.
Yeah, he's.
You know what? I'll run for Libertarian presidential candidate, and I'll defeat, and I'll end the empire. How about that?
I'm not saying anybody should do this, because I would never encourage violence on this stream. But if hypothetically,
You should definitely not do that.
if
Someone hit somebody in the knees.
if hypothetically, like, somebody like buckled a set of knees like that with their foot, they would just fold. There's nothing there.
What if you tossed a bouquet
Oh,
of
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Toss a bouquet of flowers.
Standing like that.
What if you were an
Actually-
Anchorman fan?
I actually can speak to that. I have recurvatum knees similar to Trump's like that, where they actually bend backwards about 15 degrees.
Ah.
And that's why I was
Oh,
discharged from the
me
Navy.
too.
Capstan.
Did they? Have you had? Okay, so let me ask.
Dude, you look like a bird when you stand there at fucking legs straight and not paying attention, because I do. I look like a dang bird sometimes.
Yeah.
So
Hey, look, is that a canary?
So Dennis, let me ask. Is that what you had like some of this surgery for, or was that just the spine? You're muted for some reason.
Yeah. No, I didn't have any surgeries for that.
Oh.
Any kind like that. No. So
Okay.
it was just. They just told me I couldn't be in the Navy anymore because I couldn't climb ladder.
No, I was thinking of
Oh.
your missus getting the surgery.
Yeah, my wife's had surgery from cancer and car wrecks and things like that. So.
Yeah, we'll be getting into the healthcare aspect of this as well. Although probably, honestly, a lot of this will get
Probably.
like next stream. This one will be going for another like 29 minutes, because then we'll be hitting around 2 hours, and then we'll call it.
It'll be midnight.
And I'm an cat fan.
Well, you can go good night. I'm gonna go Gaines night, and I'm gonna eat beef and rice, and I'm gonna go drink my stim-free pre-workout and go get Gaines. But yeah,
Don't eat vegetables.
Inadequate. I
Vegetables are
did not
bad
get
for
any
you.
workouts today.
I'm gonna go do some radical embroidery in a Discord chat, probably.
yeah, gender
Yeah.
radical.
Yeah.
What are you, a commie?
I do have a gender embroidery I just finished.
Real quick before we move on, I do.
Radical
The conservative with straw man when
Very-
complained about college educations. Oh, you got a degree in gender embroidery.
Yeah, right.
Gender embroidery. I
Elon
can
Musk
embroider
is-
genders now.
You need.
Yesterday, people help.
I was curious though that they're talking about all the documentation in government not having any pronouns. How's that going to read when you can't say you or them
Yeah,
or
right. I was
they
just
or
kidding.
he or she?
Yeah.
We gotta
They
fight.
don't really care. They're really only aiming this shit at fucking non-binary people, and that's all it's gonna fucking affect. Non-binary people, and they're gonna leave it wholesale open so that they can just use it on dissidents.
Yeah.
Like
But they're
the
going to try and
straight,
redefine gender.
the cisgendered man who stands up for queer people will have his gender questioned, and then he'll be like, yeah, it'll be.
That's already happening. I've already had so many.
Oh yeah, it definitely is.
Yo,
Oh,
you saw my
you wouldn't be believe.
yeah. Like you saw my
You have-
you saw my mentions the other day where so many people were like, "Well,
Mhm.
if we lived in a better world, you would be getting mental health treatment instead of getting coddled by this communist America."
Oh, yeah, isn't there a
Oh
isn't there a
God.
conspiracy theory that you're actually born female or something?
Yeah, but yo,
Really? I
mean,
haven't
okay,
heard that
in
one.
In their defense, you're the only guy I know who takes your selfies at an angle.
yeah, right?
Yeah.
I'd
Are
be
you a man?
I don't.
I'd be over here going like this, and they think that makes me I'm so very queer.
Yeah, there's only two genders.
Embrace my
It's because
queerness.
you can't. It's because your shit's not straight.
Yeah, right? Yeah. That I'm trans-angled. They can't accept my hedgehog
Friend the
identity.
angle.
Trans.
So yeah, you see, I became the hedgehog, and now I'm the edgehog. The edge is angles.
Oh no.
I'm like the '90s music videos where everything had to be shot like downward, like everybody was looking down at you and like zooming in and out regularly.
That's the power shot.
Yeah, right. It's also what I call when I come. So.
All right.
Ew.
Hey man, you know what, Jeremiah? You need to practice semen retention, carnivore, and
What the fuck?
Yeah,
Dude,
if I did that, then I could be as pent up as those guys are, and obviously not like resisting my own identity by like hyper masculinizing myself and leaning into a bunch of dumb conservative culture. Sure, Reinhold.
All I can say is somebody who's reaching his 60s.
That conservative culture.
What?
As somebody who's reaching his 60s, get it out as much as you can, as often as you can, because those days go away.
Yeah, and then your spunk,
as you get older,
and then your spunk bunk just keeps on accruing mates. Yeah. Like you gotta keep the tubes lubed, otherwise they're gonna clog up.
Yeah, but chicks like it when you
actually have to.
Face. You can't paint a chick's face if you keep shooting out all the time.
That's literally what you need to do. If you stop for a significant enough period of time, like you're gonna lose it. It's factual. That's science, yo.
Yeah, I thought you were. You know what? Never mind.
Yeah. Speaking of dropping bombs like that, let's talk about nuclear policy. The mandate argues that the U.S. should maintain its nuclear umbrella. Yeah, right.
Weird.
Only for member nations of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, and that these countries should be responsible for deploying their own conventional forces to deter Russian aggression. As of June 2024, all NATO member states except Belgium, Canada, Croatia, Italy, Luxembourg, Portugal, Slovenia, and Spain have allocated at least 2% of their gross domestic product dedicated wham to defense.
Shut up.
Iceland does not have a military. The bulletin of JD could like feel that coming like fucking miles away. The bulletin of the bulletin of the atomic scientists has called Projects 2025's nuclear policy, quote, the most dramatic buildup of nuclear weapons since the start of the Reagan administration and the beginning of a new global nuclear arms race. It includes the prioritization of nuclear weapons development and production over other security programs, rejecting congressional efforts to find cost-effective alternatives for the plans, increasing the number of nuclear weapons above treaty limits, rejecting current arms controls treaties, expanding the capability and funding of the National Nuclear Security Administration, NNSA, preparing to test new nuclear weapons despite the comprehensive nuclear test ban treaty, and accelerating all missile defense programs. More specifically, the plan calls for a speech shortly after inauguration to, quote, make the case to the American people that nuclear weapons are the ultimate guarantor of their freedom and prosperity. This would be followed by developing your mute for a second, Graham. No headphones or something. This would be followed by developing and producing new and modernized warheads, including the B6112, W84, W87-1 mod, and W88 Alt 370. I think that's hilarious that they have an 88-themed nuke, and it's going to be ramped up in production under Trump. Deploying a new nuclear-armed, sea-launched cruise missile deploying as yet unproven directed energy and space-based weapons, and cruise missile defense of the homeland. So, basically, Trumpish space lasers, not in fact Jewish, although he is a Zionist, so... Plans include placing multiple warheads on each Minuteman III ICBM and its Sentinel replacement by 2026, putting nuclear warheads on Army ground-launched missiles, adding nuclear capabilities to hypersonic missile systems, directing the Air Force to investigate a road-mobile ICBM launcher, expanding the pre-positioning of nuclear bombs and weapons in Europe and Asia, and directing the NNSA to transition to a wartime footing. This would be funded by directing the NNSA to submit monthly briefings to the Oval Office and submitting separate budget requests from the Energy Department, along with directing the Office of Management and Budget, or OMB, to submit a supplemental budget request to Congress. So, you like that? We're getting a
I hate all of that.
We're getting a wartime footing and getting so many more nukes, guys.
But
yeah, we could go a nuclear war with Russia for global war.
You know, there was like a
Here's
proposal.
the thing, though. If you nuke enough other people, you get peace because then everyone's dead. I guess.
Peace for the planet.
Bryce, what was it called? Assadism. You guys know what Assadism is?
Yeah, I do. It's fucking bullshit. Yeah. I hate it.
I thought it was the
It's
fallout.
not liberal. Unlike Maoism, it's not liberal.
Yeah.
There was like a proposed policy that like the nuclear key would be hidden inside like a guy that's just at the White House, and so like the president would have to like murder him with a knife and cut him open if he wanted to do this, and that was to deter people from ever using nukes, and that was not put in place because it was so extreme. And
I like this idea though.
I feel like we should put the key inside Trump's heart.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want it? Come get it. So, but like, that's the thing. Like, this is really ramping up fucking everything to a massively jacked up degree.
Yeah.
And it's like dizzyingly terrifying to those of us who don't want to live through another McCarthyist Cold War, worried about loyalties and sympathies and a looming global thermonuclear threat with an arms race and a massive reason for more technological advancement. And this is why Dennis is right about the cycle part. And I've also made the same cycle point like for many years, so it's good to have somebody on here who's willing to be a cunt about that too. Bryce.
Well, I think everything's a cycle.
Yeah.
Like there's always eras of like large states that have total control over their population, and then the population remembers why it was kind of nice to have freedom and limit the amount of power the state can have over them. And over time, that's forgotten again because people want the state to do more and more things.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's that line.
And the thing is, I want to see anarchism, but I fear that it's always going to be a cycle to some extent, and that there's possibly no escape from it, and that the best we can do is kind of build communities and live in the cracks between like where the state can't get to us.
Well,
the problem is there's a human nature of a lot of people that want order. They want rules. They want to have that structure because they feel more comfortable in that. Yeah. So they're not going to break away from that. If they think it's going to be
and they
chaos,
don't realize that these
go to it.
They don't realize that these orders and rules that they have now are like way more chaos than they actually would. And I mean, like, anarchy has never been about conquering the world with anarchy. That's not how that works. Like, you know, anarchy is now. Anarchy is in each and every one of us, and it is in our communes, it is in our collectives. It is, like, normal people do anarchy on little bits of anarchy on accident all day long, all the time.
Yep,
and, you know, that's where it is. And it's not even like, I know, you know, you said the cracks and stuff, but it's not even that small of a thing. if we're gonna say cracks, like there's cracks fucking everywhere. Like anarchy is everywhere.
Especially Hunter Biden.
Oh my god. And it's not going to ever rule the world. I don't know, we'll probably have like free zones, there are free spaces now, and stuff like that, but we're never gonna rule the world until people can rule themselves. And in that case we won't have to. I think eventually we could as humans evolve to that, but we ain't there. Until then we're gonna have to survive it.
People see it and they're like, oh, that actually does work and I want what they have. So then they start building their, it's like, yeah.
Well, yeah, and the greater the parallel gets, you know, the faster it grows, because more and more people will see. We have like this problem where we tell people they need to do things, but we aren't giving them things to see.
You mean we're keeping it all theoretical and not practical, and that makes us seem like a bunch of dipshit jack-offs?
Actually, partially, like I noticed that a lot of people are keeping it theoretical and just spending too much time in the theory and not actually doing the practice. But then there's a lot of other people out there doing this shit, and for various reasons, some of which are legitimate, you know, they're not doing it where people can see it.
Yeah, well, and also then there's the third category of people who pretend to care about the theory, but really they don't give a fucking shit if this shit gets fixed at all, as long as they can keep fucking talking about it for decades more. As long as we get our fucking jack-off echo chambers and legacy media.
Like that.
Are you suggesting that there are people who have built an entire business model on telling people about libertarian ideas and selling them courses on it, but that don't actually seem to want to fix things because the business that they're in has been so lucrative?
It's like Ministry says, fear is big business.
I mean, you gotta have your cruises.
Impossible. No one would do that. Come on, no one.
There's nothing wrong with just cruising every year, is there?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with a little bump and grind with fascism.
So now, remember this. Remember though, we did have a movement. We did have a time in the '60s though with the flower power children and you know that sort of thing. They were trying to do the commune stuff like that, but I mean it fades out because people start wanting more out of life than that. So
some people, they want to go back to statism and shit, but the foundations of those communities were built on communities that were built prior. And the communities that we're building now are built on things that we learned from those, and that with the aid of those who are still out there and stuff. Like, we have had people building anarchist communities in America for longer than America has been America. There are some places where those spaces are still functioning. Those people are still teaching us.
Yeah, and Thomas Paine was treated like shit. Even though he was like heavily responsible for like the morale keeping up and like the success of the war effort because of that, they treated him like shit because he was like, you know, maybe we should keep it like a better level of freedom and maybe free your slaves. And they're like, fuck off to France. And so he did.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of it.
Elon Musk of his time?
No, Elon Musk sucks asshole. Elon Musk is 5% of the man Thomas Paine was.
5% of 5%.
Yeah, right? So, like...
I can't wait till we get to the section where they talk about banning pornography.
Yeah, right?
That's going to be a fun...
Yeah,
right, that's never been tried before. These people are
No, it's definitely been tried before. Not to mention, we already have laws in place to set a precedence for that, Rose. Like
Rose was joking.
Fantastic.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. You look serious.
Ban the thing that they are the biggest consumers of.
Yeah, right. These are Coomer brains. They can't even satisfy their wife.
Right.
Well, of all
they
the
have
things,
to hire
of all
a bunch of people to come put together sex parties for them for that.
Of all the things in the proposal, I feel like that one is probably one of the least likely to get.
Yeah. But we'll
like their porn.
We'll talk about that like during another one of these streams. Health care and public health. Bernie Sanders just started to salivate. But Bernie Sanders, you don't want to think about him with a little bit of drool. I'm once
No.
again
Bernard Sanders.
Hey, by the way, I am once again asking for your financial support. There's Patreon in the description. There's Venmo and PayPal and shit. Give me money if you like throwing it down a cock.
The millionaires and the billionaires. Can someone tell Bernie Sanders he's doing democratic socialism wrong and we need libertarian socialism?
Yeah, he needs to sell his lake house. Project 2025 accuses the Biden administration of undermining the traditional nuclear family. He's really obsessed with this nuclear thing and wants to reform the DOH and Human Services DHS to promote this household structure. According to Project 2025, the federal government should prohibit Medicare from negotiating drug prices and promote the Medicare
That's
Advantage
awful.
program, which consists of private insurance plans. Federal health care providers should deny gender-affirming care to transgender people and eliminate insurance coverage of the morning after pill Ella, as required by the
also
Affordable
awful.
Care Act, Obamacare, Project 2025 suggests a number of ways to cut funding for Medicaid, such as caps on federal funding. I mean, they did just admit to cap, so we can hold that to them. Limits on lifetime benefits per capita, and letting state governments impose stricter work requirements for beneficiaries of the program. Other proposals include limiting state use of provider taxes, eliminating pre-existing federal beneficiary protections and requirements, increasing eligibility determinations and asset test determinations to make it harder to enroll in, apply for, and renew Medicaid, providing an option to turn Medicaid into a voucher program, and eliminating federal oversight of state Medicaid programs. Project 2025 aims to dramatically reform the National Institute of Health, by making it easier to fire employees and to remove DEI programs. Conservatives consider the NIH corrupt and politically biased. Project 2025 accuses social media networks, directly naming Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, of jeopardizing young Americans' mental health and social ties by creating a form of addiction. Federal policy cannot allow this to continue, it says.
What I'd like is, I mean, I just lost it, but it was something you just said a minute ago that
remove DEI programs, politically biased NIH.
Politically biased. They want to replace the politically biased NIH by putting in politically biased people.
Politically biased everything.
They're politically biased.
Yeah. Fucking be loyal, bitch. If you're not loyal to us, you're loyal to them. That's the wrong bias. You have to be biased our way.
I mean, so we just talked about like just giving billions and billions and more to the military-industrial complex, and hey, Medicaid.
It's got to come from somewhere.
Yeah, we'll just fuck off. We're not gonna negotiate drug prices anymore.
Fuck off and die.
Yeah, you can
Literally.
pay like $2,000 for insulin, or whatever the fuck it is now. Probably more than that. You can ration your insulin, and you can fucking
Yeah.
Yo,
I don't know.
And it's
just
super,
walk it off.
and it's super ghoulish because in the last stream we went over the fact that they want to defund lunch programs for poor kids.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's like shit like that. It's all this.
Just remember, y'all, this is all for the children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, we need tax breaks for politically privileged megacorporations, but fuck those kids from getting lunches that have already been paid for 10 times over with the amount we pay in school taxes.
Man, fuck them.
Yeah, and those trans
Fuck
people,
them kids.
just let them kill themselves because
Well, you know.
we don't need them. They're not real humans anyway.
Yeah.
This fucking that's literally lyrics
Mentally ill.
That's literally lyrics from like a TX2 song too. It's like TX2 is a fucking emo band that I've been listening to lately, and they've got a song called "There's No Love Like Christian Hate." It's great, and in that particular song, they've got lines like, basically you want us to die anyway, so that's why you have no problem that this is what that's gonna do when you ban like even cross-dressing. So.
Come on. Man. Gotta fight the woke mind virus.
I don't know.
Cultural
I don't know if
Marxism.
it mentioned it
Part of the
here.
cultural Marxist agenda.
It didn't yet,
Yeah.
but it will.
No. They mentioned banning the morning after pill. There's also another abortion pill that they're talking about, like removing FDA
Yeah.
approval from.
Yeah, misoprostol.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons that they're doing that with that is because it's one of the drugs that they were using to induce abortions. But you can't do like that. That's one of the fun things is that if you ban one and not the other, they might just take one without the other, and you need both misoprostol and fucking mifepristone, fucking one of the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I just remembered one of my notes. I think Wikipedia kind of dropped the ball on this section. They want to use a really old law called the Comstock Act to prosecute people mailing like abortion pills across state lines, and they want to create like a database of people like crossing state lines to get abortions in other states that allow them.
Mhm.
And they want to like threaten federal funding to those abortion clinics if they don't comply with that.
Does this
Really
count
about this?
Stormy Daniels?
Stormy Daniels.
Yeah, like if I knock up Stormy Daniels, can I send her an abortion pill?
Oh my
How old is
God.
Stormy Daniels now? Like,
I don't know.
that her
Yeah,
her
it's
baby
like-
you-
All
work.
I can
right,
give
all
you a
right.
real
Don't
world-
put ages.
Kareem is a
I'll get
cougar
some good
chaser.
comment going.
I can
I'll
give
do
you a real world
senior
example.
retention so it's real built up and eat
Real
carnivores.
world example.
Dennis.
Real world example of the damage that this is going to do. My wife had an ectopic pregnancy. We went to the hospital,
Sorry to hear that.
and they gave her the option. Gave us the option of removing it or taking this drug that would abort everything, and sending her on her way, which is what we ended up. It was like we find out she's pregnant. We've been trying for years, and this was like one of the last chances, and it just happened to be this situation. They gave her the medicine and it's like I didn't want the government. I didn't want a policeman in that room telling us which way we were going to decide to go with that. Right now, if she doesn't take this medicine and she doesn't have the surgery, what's going to happen? She's going to end up bleeding out, which ended up being what happened because the medicine didn't work. And she woke up one night and was in terrible pain. Took her to the hospital. Her fallopian tube had exploded.
Oh my God, that can kill you.
And she had to have emergency surgery and have that taken care of. Now, why is the government involved in that decision, or in that instance in any way, shape, or form? It's none of their fucking business.
Well, that's what's going on in states like Texas now, where women go to the hospital because they're having a miscarriage, and now though, like the doctors, just to cover their own asses, they have to like investigate to make sure that she didn't do something to induce it, and if they suspect she did, now they're suddenly required to report it to the authorities, or their licenses could be at risk. Like,
Well, Utah wanted it set so
Well,
that
now
no
that's
doctor
gonna
could
lead to
perform the
people getting
procedure.
hurt.
right? Well, I like years ago there was that case that I think it was in Northern Ireland, which got a lot of like international attention, where because abortion is illegal there, and they've gotten away with having it be that way because most of the time they were able to travel to England. But there was this woman who was stuck in the hospital. She was having a miscarriage, but there was technically still a heartbeat detectable. So the doctors, for fear of being prosecuted, they could not perform the abortion, and she ended up dying from infection because it was a miscarriage that was in the process of happening but had stalled. Bacteria got in, and she died from infection. Like, this is the sort of shit that happens when you have laws that are tying doctors' hands, that they can't actually treat their patients properly. Like, the state should not fucking be involved in healthcare for this reason.
But that's just how Christianity works in Trumpville.
Woohoo! Yeah, but
Evangelical Christianity, because most like Christianity and other religions accept the reality that abortion is not, that life begins at birth, not at conception. So that's a whole thing that's specifically to evangelical Christians.
And even if it didn't, it's like fucking
invented this.
Even if it didn't, like there's pretty much every pastor's got some like fucking age of innocence idea, and they're not going to say that this baby's going to hell, probably. And so, like, what they'll probably end up saying is, like even from those perspectives, it could be argued that this baby is an active threat to the mother, and terminating it is the only way that that mother can make an actual life. Because if she's dead, she can't fucking make more babies. Now fucking can she?
Yes. That was my same argument against. I like
Pro-life.
Josh Smith, actually. I don't have a problem with Josh Smith, but there was a part of the Mises caucus, and I even said I'm pro-life, but there were some people like, well, if someone gets a murder or if someone gets an abortion, that should be murder. You should send a cop.
If
to
somebody
that.
gets
I'm
a
like,
murder, that should be an abortion. Sorry, I had to finish that.
well, I
Yes,
guess.
we'll abort anyone who murders.
Yes. Post-birth.
Whole new
You-
meaning to late term
First,
abortion.
No.
You gone too far past term, and now you done killed somebody. Time to suck your brains out with a vacuum hose.
Hey, you know what Kamala said? Joe Biden's almost a full-term president.
Yeah.
So we got to abort.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I will say I do have a huge problem with Josh Smith, but that's another story. Him and I have gone back and forth for years. So
All right, we'll talk about
he,
that.
he got very mad at me. He got very mad at me because I told him he didn't have any political acumen, and he takes that so personally.
Mm.
He hates it.
Surprise
Anytime
me.
somebody would
Oh,
mention that word, just say acumen around him, he'll get mad.
Oh, that's a shame.
Acumen.
Acumen Nation is great. That's if anyone wants edgy industrial music, Acumen Nation. There's a whole album called Psycho the Rapist. It's exactly the edge you need.
Psychotherapist.
Yeah, that's but see they just
Psycho
took it
the
and they broke
Rapist.
it up. They said Psycho the Rapist.
Wow.
Yeah.
Anyway,
You're welcome for
Yeah,
that
that's-
information.
yeah. Oh, I know. Knowing is half the battle. The other part is violent. Anyway,
Wow, we got
Uh,
another person that just joined.
Yeah, we're about to wrap up. It's been over 2 hours, Con.
hey, it's my other mutualist friend.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm already talking about angled cum shots or something. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
remember.
But yeah,
Yeah.
so that's the thing. Like these policies are creating the rhetorical and practical framework for actual fascism. And one of the things
Oh,
that
yeah.
you do is you have to suppress like anything non-masculine, and so obviously abortion would be one of the things that you do that with that, because it would make it a whole lot easier to control women if they weren't even allowed their sexual autonomy, if they were assaulted, or if they
They're
were
also
go.
And
they're
Don't
also
forget
really concerned about like declining birth rates. So I think a lot of this might have to do with that. They want to like just force everybody to have babies.
Well, yeah,
the
let's
nuclear
not,
family
like,
thing too is very
4B.
much.
4B.
Yeah.
It's very much the nuclear family is very much about keeping the women subservient as well.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too is they don't want. So we have the declining birth rate. Without immigration, we're going to be losing people, like losing population. And if they're going to block all immigration, which is what they want to do,
Yeah.
they've got to keep the numbers up somehow. So they've got to get the birth rate.
You know what they gotta do? They should say, hey, we're gonna end the Fed so we all have more money. Then you can have, then be like, hey, go have 10 baby mamas. There, that's it.
Utilize time banking and pay women to give birth.
Eh.
We literally call it labor, but it's not labor you're compensated for.
Yep.
I need
That
to
would
go save
incentivize it,
America. So I need to go save America. So I'm gonna be like Ninja Man. How many children you got? 23, 22 baby mamas.
We just do China's
Yeah,
one.
Kareem really wants to
one
help
baby
out with
thing.
this declining
Yeah.
situation.
He
Yeah.
He just
We
I need
just
that-
changed that rule that China
I
has
need
for the
that
one baby
hose.
thing, and we converted over to 5 babies.
Yeah.
Everybody has to.
We should legalize
Yeah,
prostitution.
babies
That way, if she's really good, you just take her back and then come in there and be like, "Get out of my house.
Hmm.
Go pop them out. I got the next one coming."
Maybe that's why they're so anti sex ed too. 'Cause,
Well,
yeah.
it's kind of like the end of Doctor Strangelove. It's they're thinking, well, if we have this rule in place, then we're going to get a lot more sex.
Yo, I can't tell you how many times I have had arguments with conservatives who like say they want to stop grooming, and They will ignore literally every scientific paper that I can post that proves that sex ed, comprehensive sex ed, even very young, prevents grooming in basically every circumstance across the board. They don't like that because it's facts and it contradicts their stupid fucking narrative that they want to push that says that if you tell people about things, that's awful. You should just keep them in the dark and that will make it somehow harder for them to get taken advantage of. Fuck you, you shitbag
They
fascists.
want to be able to marry 16-year-olds because
Yeah. Fucking
Yeah,
Well, it's not
Matt
like
they don't
church
want
isn't
they
a
don't want
large grooming
solutions. They just want to complain.
That they do. But so Con, be on a little sooner next time. I'll let you know like a day in advance when we're probably planning because we're actually wrapping at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get you.
But
Yeah, no, I had a thing to go to or whatever, and totally
Totally
spaced
fine.
my mind. I know you said last time it was going to be on Thursday, so
totally
I
fine.
was planning to be here earlier, but
It's good to see you though, Con. Next
That's
time.
not acceptable, okay?
Yeah, right.
This is deserving of a call
How
out
dare
because
you.
you're clearly just
Thank
not
God.
dedicated enough to this cult.
Yeah.
We are taking on the Heritage Foundation.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're half and half.
Kareem did the same thing last stream, so I would be like, fucking inconsistent if I didn't. But so all right, so in
In the
general,
shout next time, Con.
we've gone over the fact that they're ramping up nuke production, trying to have a new nuclear arms race, while they're also ramping up military production. They're trying to isolate as much control of NATO as possible. They're trying to replace all disloyal politicians with loyal ones. They're doing this all while increasing the powers of the president and the scope of what the president can do, claiming that he can just do what he wants. Because
yeah, he can't do crimes anymore.
no,
The Supreme Court ruled that, so
so the generals, like, we've gone over all of that, and the next one that we'll be going over the next time we meet will be immigration policy. And that sucks asshole because I fucking hate these
Looks
people.
like we're going to be going over immigration, DEI, law enforcement, national security, the porn ban.
Yeah.
Holy shit! This is like another 3
Oh.
episodes.
nobody's
Yes, it
taking my
is.
porn. I'll write it.
Okay, looks like Wikipedia's had a whole section dedicated to women's reproductive health, so that's probably where the Comstock
another
stuff.
5 episodes worth.
Yeah. So we will see you back here for another dizzying thing of fascism. But everybody, plug your shit in any order.
I have absolutely no things to plug. Yeah.
I have we have Chris Bengal's show We Are Libertarians is kind of putting out some more episodes. We had a couple this past week, so go check it out there. Also wanted to say they want to have increased nuclear power, or increase nuclear weapons, they want to have an increased nuclear family, but they don't want to increase nuclear power because that's going to affect the oil companies that
Heritage
are in their
Foundation
pockets,
is an oil cuck company. Fuck these people.
They are funded directly by ExxonMobil.
And the Koch brothers and all these other cunts. Rip out their tongues in Minecraft. Bryce.
Yeah.
I will shamelessly choose to plug the Libertarian and Communist Facebook group and Discord server. If you are a Wisconsin resident, lpwi.org, and feel free to try and help me make the Mises Caucus better and join the Mises Caucus.
Hell no.
Base.
Oh, and also Bryce will post his link in my comments and tag his followers so that they can all help him and see the stream, and I will tag my followers as well. Because he's got some like debt that he needs assistance getting out of. So there's some stuff that y'all can help Bryce directly with if you want. Brett.
I guess, like, if you like Unity stuff and you're an anarchist and you're not terribly sus, you should come hang out with us over at our Discord. Honestly, you can find Mad Liberty Project stuff at Linktree. It's Linktree. It's the link tree is Mad Liberty. Just look up link tree Mad Liberty TEA, and you can find us. Come hang out, do some Liberty shit with us. Yeah,
Want to do some Liberty shit?
Yeah. Kareem,
we're doing an
We
episode
did 3
tomorrow.
liberties.
Kareem,
Yeah.
what do you do other than
I'm
spreading
doing
baby
what-
batter?
Well, carnivore diet, because that's how you get the best batter. You can't eat leaves and vegetables.
Gotta get
'cause-
that thick meat sauce. Kareem,
Yeah. But anyway, Anarch Unity. I'm on Twitter, Cream6633. And also, check out Rojava. Check out Keith's website, attackthesystem.com. Brett's project, Mad Liberty. Good Anarch Unity project. And also, if you don't know who he is, Free Abdullah Öcalan, I think is how you say his name. Who's the leader of the PKK in Rojava.
Star Trek, Khan.
Yeah, so you can find all my links at the link tree. You know, like Brett said, it's link tree's kind of weird, right? Link
Yeah.
tr.ee/Con the Stoner Lynn. You know, you find all my links there. I got a blog where I write about social economic issues. I got a fictional story called Alligators in the Cedar River. I got a YouTube channel where I debated Liquid Zulu, if you know who he is. So
I do.
that's a pretty fun one.
God,
Yeah.
he's such a pseudo-intellectual cunt.
I know. I do think I will say I do think he's a pretty strong debater. And I'd like to debate him again because my debate with him was I was not at my best because I mean the week prior to that debate I had like the worst pain imaginable in my tooth, and then like 2 hours to that debate, 2 hours before the debate I had a tooth pulled. So I was not on my A game.
Was
but,
it moderated?
I think
No.
no, it was just me and him.
Okay, that sucks. You need to get that moderated, yo. Moderated debates are the only way. If they're not moderated and there aren't rules and people are trying to fucking just talk, it's never gonna go well. It's just gonna be a fucking argument with no structure.
That's kind of I do think I went a bit too easy on him. I think that I not that I should have been super aggressive, but I think I wasn't harsh enough. Like there was a time where he said like, we were talking about mutual credit. He's like, money can't just be numbers on a ledger. And I was like, I get what you're saying, but I tried to explain. But what I should have just said to that, what I should have responded was just like, yes, it can. I feel like it can and it should. Like, yeah, I just like,
Moderate
so I
that
feel like
shit
I
next
didn't go,
time.
but-
Get somebody else who's
I
like,
get you. I get you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Jeremiah knows of a guy who can help you moderate.
Okay, yeah. I'll also say, one thing that I find weird about Project 2025 is that, as I understand it, it was kind of all set up because Trump is such a fucking idiot that he doesn't know what he can do as president. So they set up Project
they've been
2025
doing this since
kind of-
Reagan.
kind of tell him what he can do.
This
I
This
guess
is not even the first one.
Yeah,
This is
but,
just
I
a
don't know, Trump is
continuation of previous fascism.
Yeah, no, I get you. I
The
just
schedule F thing. The schedule F thing though was thought of by one of his guys who, in the administration, who brought it to his attention and decided to go that path. So.
Yeah, because Trump's he's an absolute moron. I mean, he talks less coherently than an iPhone's autocorrect. As John Oliver literally demonstrates, you can type something into your fucking phones and just like use autocorrect for the rest of it, and you'll come out with a more coherent statement. Like, that's just insane. Oh my God, Trump is just the worst. I'd happily trade him for 2 Richard Nixons and a Ronald Reagan, but
Ew. Gross. No. I'd rather die.
I mean, I don't like any of those,
No.
but I mean, significantly better than Trump, I'd say. Anyone's better than most anyone is better than Trump. There are very few people that I wouldn't take over Trump.
They're all shit.
Okay,
No
here's
more
the
leaders.
real anarchy. Which fucking president was around in 1912 again?
Talking about Woodrow Wilson?
Yes. Would you take Woodrow Wilson over Donald Trump?
Probably.
No.
Yes.
I would.
Absolutely not. Okay, well, you
No.
okay.
I would take Vladimir Lenin over Trump. I would take Al Capone over Trump. The only people that I wouldn't take over Trump are literally Hitler and like Albert Fish. Like Look up
I'd
Albert
say
Fish at
right.
your own risk.
You take
Well,
I'll take
Pinochet over
Assad
Trump.
I think it's kind of silly to compare, like, because that's like
It's just
such a different
dumb.
world.
They're all shitty tyrants, and we need to
Yes.
stop picking one over another. We need to
Yeah.
just stop
Me too.
picking them.
Yes, exactly.
Minecraft drawing.
I'm
take
so
some
tired
from
of
them.
the who's worse, who's better than worse. Fuck this shit. God, they're literally
Only
just
warlords
murdering
are
all
gay.
of us.
Rose.
Oh no, I was gonna say I got a book soon, so
Yeah.
I will. To expand on what Bryce was saying, I will also shamelessly plug the Libertarians and Communists, a people-friendly corporation group on Facebook. I'll also say if for some reason you like me enough that you want to give me money, or you hate me and want to tell me this to my face, I'm sure you can figure out how to find me on Facebook. So feel free to send me a friend request. Other than that, this was a good discussion. I'm sure we're going to have many more because we still have a ton of material to cover. So great seeing everybody.
Yeah. We'll be doing this forever. Fascism forever. Anti-fascism forever. Anyway, this was a relatively productive stream. There will be more. We'll schedule that, and I'll let y'all know on social media when we'll be doing this again. But thanks to everybody who showed up, because this is fucking ramping up. The Empire is far from dead, and that's all the evidence we need to smash the fucking state.
Yeah, hey Jeremiah, let me know, like a day or so in advance or whatever, so I can, plan for it and definitely try to be here or whatever on time. So,
Cool.
because
All
I
right.
really enjoy these conversations. I just,
We can add you to our group
Even though
chat.
Jeremiah's wrong and Ron Paul's
Okay,
right.
awesome.
All right, well, smash the fucking state.
Smash the state. Have a good night, you guys.
Good night.
Yeah.